is I was always fascinated about Hong Kong racing. I was always fascinated about Hong Kong. The can-do spirit, the fastness of pace, and that you can make things happen. And when I then had the discussion with the former chairman then, or incoming chairman, Alan Lee, we talked about how Hong Kong could become a global center of excellence for horse racing. And with this vision, that this was a vision to position Hong Kong as a global leader in the field of horse racing. This attracted me to Hong Kong. The other thing which attracted me is to give, especially my children, a different perspective of Asian culture. And I was always interested in cultural experience, and therefore the Asian culture, and for me giving my children this opportunity to live in an extremely safe city, in a city where I think it's one of the easiest you can integrate when you come from overseas. That was, I thought, a unique opportunity. And obviously, first you think, look, it's 5 years, but it's not 25 years. And I think this is something which definitely has enriched my life and has enriched the experience of my children. And when you come here, you have to be willing to learn and to listen. And I built up pretty quick, I would say, a number of people who could guide me and help me. I had definitely to adjust because in Germany, for example, even my management style is much more direct. So I think I had to learn a little bit, probably in the communication, to be a little bit more subtle, to understand a little bit more where my colleagues came from and stakeholders came from. But I really firmly believe Hong Kong is, I've lived in other cities, it is a much easier city to adapt and to integrate than you have it even globally. I think for me, horse racing for me reflects Hong Kong's spirit. It is fast, it is very competitive, it is never give up, it is people spend a lot of time to understand which horses have a chance. It's a mind game, but it is which unites Hong Kong. It goes to the whole society. It is something which is a symbol of Hong Kong, and I think this is when you look at Deng Xiaoping, Marchipao. And this was repeated again now by visit of other government officials. And I never forget when it came to could we continue racing or not? And I explained the plans, how we can do this safely. And there were a lot of people, especially even senior people in government, said, this is a symbol of Hong Kong's uniqueness and the resilience of Hong Kong. And that's why it's more than horse racing, more than gaming. It is a symbol of Hong Kong's resilience and uniqueness. And having developed this now on a global side, that around the world, we are the center of excellence if it comes to horse racing and everything related with this. And that's, I think, shows if Hong Kong focus on excellence, if Hong Kong pulls the strengths of attracting overseas talent, combining them with local talent, and have it in one clear vision that Hong Kong can move mountains and can be a center of excellence in a very competitive world.
精英大師入考第一，結果不負眾望，再次輕鬆奪魁。
There is one horse which I personally think is a symbol for Hong Kong, a silent witness. He was the first best sprinter in the world. He was a Time magazine personality, and he stood in a time of challenges for Hong Kong's resilience and can-do spirit. And when he won the international races, if you hear the crowd when he comes, when you have 70, 80,000 people, when he comes, when he goes to the finish line, so the emotion, the enjoyment, I think is something you will never forget. What I see as the next step is there is the National Equine Development Plan, which has been published in October 2020, where China would like to develop, mainland China, in equine development. That is equestrian, and that is horse racing. And in this plan, we think that is an anchor, how we then can expand horse racing from Hong Kong into the Greater Bay Area. Because naturally, I'm a firm believer of the Greater Bay Area development. And that was when we built the training center in Chongfa, and we made the decision 2012, at that time it was Pearl River Delta. We were clear that the long-term sustainability of horse racing in Hong Kong needs an embracement of the Greater Bay Area. From space, physically, our stables were 50 years old. If you want to have a growing horse population, if you want to have better training facility, rehabilitation facility, we couldn't do in Hong Kong. And how Hong Kong can be the central hub as a global center of excellence, that horses who are bred in China, beside horses who come from other countries, could be tested in our world-class racing cycle, how they can get international recognition of quality, and how horse racing in Hong Kong and in Chongfa could be helpful for a selection process of the best horses who go with the breeding side. And then we will build an equine quarantine station in the Greater Bay Area so that horses in China can acquire the same health status of Hong Kong horses so that they can participate in this triangle. So that is probably the next 20-year vision to 30-year vision, where we position Hong Kong racing center of excellence and as a center of excellence for a development of a breeding and equine industry in mainland. I think there is definitely, we have an aging society. It's not only horse racing. So that one has to always reinvent itself. If you see 2011, 2010, there were people saying horse racing has no future. I think we have demonstrated horse racing has a future. We had to create different experiences for a younger segment. We have to do the same now. And this is definitely, with the aging population, it is a challenge. And we have definitely, when it comes to technology and the way how you connect to the younger generation, it's different. You have to have everything, interfaces, experiences has to be much more graphical, visual, gamification. And you have to create completely different venues and experience zone for a younger generation who want to stay with their friends. People have to understand in horse racing, we are not in the horse racing, not in the wagering, we are in the entertainment business. In the end, horse racing is entertainment. And therefore you have to change your offerings, your product, your experiences to fit in the different segments. So you always have to review what your offerings are. And this is why I stretch customer centricity. It's not what I think. You have to analyze what your customers are. You have to analyze what is interesting to them. So that's why it's always reinventing yourself. East, for me, is a central police station, which I personally think I became in charge of the central police station 2007 when I became CEO. We had to completely change the concept. But how we then looked at heritage conservation, preservation, and how we activated the site. And this is now one of the key. When you see this and you open this and you see your vision and the vision of the team materialize, this is something which I found probably most rewarding. I think for me, first of all, there is a not only personal connection, I think they are extremely attractive programs. And if you really want to, you have very nice restaurants, but you have always new activities. And especially if you look at exhibitions, if you look at performances, I think therefore I would call myself a regular. As a user, as a Hong Kong citizen, I talk now to a lot of overseas visitors. And they say there are three things besides horse racing, which is a must, you have to go, but you should visit. One is the Palace Museum, then it's definitely M+, and Tycoon. So these three are key on the agenda if you look at the cultural side of Hong Kong, and that you can make contribution there. I think it's fascinating.